Hello, everybody. How are you all doing today? Welcome to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner on 12OZSportsRadio.com. I am your host, Glenn Kaplan. We are live in Baltimore, Maryland, which is home of the Baltimore Orioles and the Baltimore Ravens. Who's excited for today's show? Oh, baby. Finally, we get some exciting sports stuff today. I was wondering if I was well, I slept fine last night, thank God, but then it was this morning. I was wondering what time I was going to get up. So I asked my brother, he's like, what time is it? It's tells me 7:43. I thought it was 8. And he's like, what time is it 10 minutes later? It's 7:53. I'm like, ugh. It's just going to be one of those long days where it's got to feel like a long day for everyone because of the NFL draft tonight, which I'm going to get into later on the show. And there's more optimism in sports in the NHL, and I'll get to that in just a minute. So, this is the 63rd show today I'm doing on here. I hope you all are staying safe during this time. Hopefully sooner rather than later, we get to go about doing things in life and what we all enjoy. But in the meantime, let's just all hang in there. I love you all, as you know, as I always say here on this show. At the beginning of this show, before I get started every week, if you're watching The Simpsons, The SpongeBob, or whatever else, Netflix, Hulu, all that other good fun stuff, cartoons, I just love watching cartoons. So now let me get started today on some optimism. It appears as if the NHL is leading the pack when it comes to restarting games. So, the idea of playing games in Saskatchewan, North Dakota, and New Hampshire are supposedly out the window. But that doesn't mean that the NHL is basically done for the year or basically screwed or whatever else. Seems like they've come up with a plan, and the plan is at some point to continue the season where each divisional team is a site to complete the regular season games. The leading for each division right now in the Pacific Division, Edmonton is your host. The Central Division, St. Paul, Minnesota, home of the Minnesota Wild. In a Metropolitan Division, the Carolina Hurricanes in Raleigh, North Carolina. And they have not yet announced a leading candidate for the Atlantic Division, but I am sure it is probably Sunrise, Florida, or Tampa Bay, Florida, because you're not playing in Boston, you're not playing in Buffalo, which is right near Toronto, you're not playing in Montreal or Ottawa, you're not playing in Detroit. Michigan has it one of the worst cases with the coronavirus. So that's how the NHL's decided. Whoever has the least amount of cases, it will be the host site for that division. And I actually thought it was going to be the Winnipeg Jets. I was a little surprised when I heard St. Paul was the announcement for the potential case for the Central Division. So I like what the NHL's doing here. What they should do, obviously, I don't see them completing all 82. But there is something that I saw on Twitter this morning. It says this. Source within an Atlantic Division organization, it has been indicated to players that they should head back to their home cities last week of May, first week of June. There will be a 3 to 4 week camp to get ready to finish the regular season. And it has to be a minimum of 76 games in order to complete the regular season before the Stanley Cup playoffs begin. So, as I've said on this show, 68 to 71 games is what teams have played at right now. So, let's see in each division how many games have each team has played. Boston, 70. Tampa Bay, 70. Toronto, 70. Florida, 69. Montreal, 71. Buffalo, 69. Ottawa, 71. Detroit, 71. So, Bruins and Lightning and Maple Leafs, you give them 6 games. Panthers and Sabres would need 7. Canadians, Senators, and Red Wings would need 5. Washington, Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh have all played 69. Carolina and the New York Islanders have played 68. The Columbus and the New York Rangers have played 70. And the New Jersey Devils have played 69. So the Capitals, Flyers, and Penguins would need 7 games. And so would the New Jersey Devils. The Hurricanes and the Islanders would need 8 games. The Blue Jackets and the Rangers would need 6 games. Western Conference. St. Louis 71, Colorado 70, Dallas 69, Winnipeg 71, Nashville 69, Minnesota 69, Chicago 70. Blues and Jets, you play 5. Predators, Stars, Wild 7. And the Avalanche and the Blackhawks play 6. Vegas 71, Edmonton 71, Calgary 70, Vancouver 69, Arizona 70, Anaheim 71, Los Angeles 70, San Jose 70. So the Golden Knights and the Oilers and Ducks play 5. Flames, Kings, and Sharks play 6. And Coyotes and the Canucks play 7. So that 76 games is a fair amount. I think that's a good number. I don't think you're going to be able to play all 82 games. And the question is it all... it should be all divisional games. But then you may have to see more traveling than it should. I just think you just need to adjust the schedule some way, somehow, just to have divisional games, even if it's... What I'm saying is, if you were scheduled to have, say, Penguins and Caps were supposed to play 4 times, and so were the Flames and the Oilers. And because of the situation that you can only play divisional games, and that the only way to get to 76 is you have to play it a 5th time, then you have to do it. You're going to have to adjust the schedule. I don't know if they're going to be able to complete all 82. It would be nice for them to complete all 82 because they need some money coming in. But at the same time, I don't think it's possible. So if you're going to have a 3 to 4 week training camp, say you restart in first week of July, say Independence Day weekend. So you could go from Independence Day weekend to the 18th of July. That's, say, July 18th. Say you restart the weekend of July 4th. You play 76 games, which takes a span of 2 weeks. You could definitely play. Maybe it'd be a little shorter. So say 5 to 8 games in 14 days. Okay, you could play in that 2-week span. So you have the 4th of July, which is a Saturday. Have it start up maybe July 2nd, that weekend, and conclude it July 18th. Whatever the Wednesday is, that Wednesday after the 18th is where you start your playoffs. Now, how do you conduct your playoffs? Do you conduct your playoffs for an 8-9 week brutal stretch heading into the end of September? Or do you just have your first 3 rounds best of 5 series and you still have the Stanley Cup Finals of best of 7? That's going to be all taken into consideration. And I know the NHL has lost a lot of money. And it actually sets up perfectly for the NHL in this respective. Remember when the Olympics got postponed to next year? So, the July 24th through August 8th, 9th slot is available for the NBC Sports Networks, which the NHL makes a ton of money off of. And it's perfect slotted for them to start the playoffs then, and they could be making a boatload of money, where it seems like the NHL may be the only sport that's in town this summer. And don't get me started on Major League Baseball and the NBA, which I'm going to jump right into in a minute over here. Because hockey has some sort of plan in place to get the season continued. It's about planning now, and you better make sure these stadiums are open. And it appears as if the NHL's heading in the right direction, and I get the sensibility hockey's coming back. When it comes back, we don't know, but this is what their goal is right now. Because hockey fans are very optimistic right now. Some don't want the season to be played, and some can't wait for it to come back. Here, I've said many times this, that hockey is going to be the first sport back. That's what I've said. And another thing I said, I remember a couple weeks ago where I thought maybe she should have just canceled the season altogether. But maybe Kevin Hayes, Philadelphia Flyers forward, was actually right after all. What he said on a podcast a few weeks ago when it came to this hockey stuff, and maybe he was right after all. So hockey had some plan all along. And I'm not saying that the NBA or the MLB doesn't, but it seems like they're more, they're not I'm trying to maybe push themselves. That's tough. But and one thing I don't like about what the NHL players are doing is, how are you going to conduct the draft when the season hasn't even concluded? Because you have these trade rights things. If you advance this round and win the Stanley Cup, then the whole 9 yards. I understand Gary Bettman and wanting money, and he has no money coming in. I saw a tweet yesterday how he has basically no money coming in right now because of the whole season on pause. And I'm sure the NBA and the MLB, for that matter, is not having any money coming in. So, that's going to be time telling. I'm so excited that the NHL has some sort of plan in place. And if this goes through, at least there'll be something on TV this summer. And here's one thing I'm going to say. If the NBA and MLB cancels, and I have a gut feeling it's going to happen, the NHL has a golden opportunity in business as long as they come back. They have an opportunity to shatter TV records. And this is your Gary Bettman. This is your perfect opportunity to grow the game with everyone watching it at home and basically doing nothing else. This is the golden opportunity for the NHL to grow its game. You got Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin. You got all these guys who are basically the heartbeats and the heart and souls of the NHL, and they're respectively the heartbeat and the heart and soul of each and all their respective teams nonetheless, because this is what we need. You got all-stars. You have a ton of talent on the ice. And I'm just going to sit here and be like, this is your golden opportunity. You better not blow it. And as long as you come back, I remember a phone call with a conversation with someone. If hockey was the only thing on, would you watch it? And this guy said to me, absolutely. So moving on to the NBA and the MLB. I'm sorry, NBA fans and MLB fans. I don't know what's up with the NBA and their players. Basically, I'm not sure if the players even want to return. And I know Adam Silver is your boss. And I mean, you got to do as what you please. Here's the thing. In your contract, isn't it like if you're told to play, you have to play? There's no backing out. I mean, I get it. Look, I get it. It's a difficult time and you don't want to leave your families. But if the only way for you to get paid is go play games, isn't that what you're going to do? I mean, Chris Paul has spoken out, LeBron James has spoken out, and all these other players have spoken out. Some have said they don't want to play with fans. Some have said, we don't want to play. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, just be quiet. Look, I know that I get it. You don't want to leave your families. At the same time, you have a job to do. And it seems like a lot of these guys in the NBA don't want to do their jobs. And that is including if the CDC passes its own guidelines. Even though if they were to get the okay. It's temporary. It's not permanent. You think McDavid, Crosby, and Ovechkin have once barked and complained about not wanting to play in front of fans and not wanting to return because of these situations, get out of here. Those guys can't actually wait to get back on the ice and play for fans, even though they want to be present in the building because, let's see, they have a job to do and a championship to win, and they don't happen to bicker about a situation. They got more positivity than it seems like you guys do, and it seems like that the NHL players actually want to play. They actually want to play when this thing is over, and they don't seem. I don't want to say I would be too much. I would be too much of a. I guess I could call myself a softie for this one. I can't say scared. That's not the right word here. The word is. I don't know what the right word here is in the situation. But let's just say that they just don't feel comfortable. Let's just say comfortable would be the more appropriate term here. So they don't feel as comfortable playing. And hockey players seem to be more comfortable playing even without the fans. Let's just put it that way. And that's how I feel about it. And I know basketball has a lot of more contact. And that's probably why it might cancel altogether, because you have guys sweating on each other. And that kind of makes sense. And you also got, remember, Toronto, when they won the Stanley Cup 1920, no Stanley Cup the next year. And then the Blue Jays won the World Series in 93-94. The World Series is canceled the next year. And then the Raptors win the NBA Finals last year, and maybe the NBA cancels its season, which I'm sure no NBA fan wants to hear. So I would say the NBA players would be more uncomfortable if they had to go play, and I don't think they're comfortable doing it. That's what I think it comes down to. And baseball, I'm trying to figure out why baseball doesn't want to play, and I know they have a potential plan for Texas. Maybe I'll get to that at the end of the show. But I don't know if baseball has some sort of plan either to get back to playing. And it's outdoors just like golf, but the problem is you got the catcher, the batter's box, and the base runners. And I know hockey's kind of the same issue. You got sweat, but the thing is the goalies aren't even, you're not even touching the puck most of the time. And Ottawa and Colorado were the only teams that had coronavirus cases. And the NBA had it so pummeled that Adam Silver didn't even want to announce it anymore. So moving on. Who is excited? Tonight is the NFL Draft. Raise your hand. I'm so excited for tonight's NFL Draft. And sorry it took me 18 minutes into the show to get to talking about, but I felt like it was just, for some reason to me, more of an optimistic thing more than anything else. And I felt like I wanted to get that thing off my chest right away. So that's how I felt. And in the NFL Draft, so, you know how I like to do my top 10 lists of like NFL teams, NFL this, NFL that? So here we go. I'm going to do my potential top 10 crazy things that could happen on draft day tonight. I'm going to start with number 10. The Miami Dolphins do not pick a quarterback with the number 5 selection nonetheless. Very interesting. I guess I forgot to proofread this part of the script, and maybe it's not an accident that I typed this where it says with the number 3 selection. Maybe it's a sign that the Dolphins are going to trade up to the number 3, keep the number 5, but they give the number 18 pick and 26 pick to the Detroit Lions. And now I've heard rumors that the Dolphins may wait on a quarterback, or what they may do is, if you keep the 5 and trade for the 3 and give up those 2 picks, you're going to take that offensive tackle, and then you're going to take the quarterback. Personally, I believe they're going to take Justin Herbert. I think Tua Tagovailoa is not going to the Dolphins at number 5 from what I'm hearing. That's going to be very interesting. I'm curious to see how it's going to work. Number 9, Chase Young slips to the New York Giants at number 4. How does this happen? Number 1, the Bengals take Burrow. Number 2, the Washington Redskins shock the world, say to themselves, we are not sold on Dwayne Haskins. We have a new regime. This is just like what the Arizona Cardinals did last year. They didn't want anything to do with Josh Rosen, so Cliff Kingsbury takes Kyler Murray, and Steve Wilkes was the Josh Rosen era for 1 year, and Dwayne Haskins was the Jay Gruden and Bruce Allen, and this is a new general manager and a new head coach, Ron Rivera, so this could be very interesting. And at number 3, the Detroit Lions either take Jeff Okudah, Isaiah Simmons, or they trade out of that pick to someone else, and that team doesn't take Chase Young. And Chase Young falls in the Giants' lap at number 4. Number 8, the Minnesota Vikings trade the 22nd and 25th picks in order to move up in the first round. What would the Vikings do here in this situation? Well, there's supposed rumors of this nonsense that wide receiver Jerry Jeudy may slip in the draft due to some lingering knee issues. And no, this is probably reported by some media that wanted to leak something, so in order for them to get Jeudy, and this was probably the Eagles or the Cowboys, not a surprise. So Wentz could get a receiver, or Prescott could get another receiver on a contract year. So I'm just curious how that would work. The number 7, Detroit takes Isaiah Simmons at number 3, and Jeffrey Okudah, the top cornerback in the NFL draft, slips, and then someone trades up for him. I could see that. Would the Jaguars maybe trade up for Okudah? And there was something Jason LaCanfora interestingly said last night, that the Giants are interested in trading down, and the Jaguars may be interested in trading up. Would the New York Giants and the Jaguars potentially have a deal on the table? The 4th pick and the 9th pick, you swap those picks. You also add a 20th pick, and you maybe add Yannick Ngakoue. And my dad's like, that might be a waste for the Giants. And my brother Jake's like, no. How would that possibly be a waste for the Giants? My dad's like, it's like a 1-year deal, a franchise tag. Very interesting. I wonder what the Giants would do if that came on the table. I would maybe take that trade in a heartbeat. I'm not sure how it will work, but we'll see. We'll see if that trade actually happens. Number 6. Jerry Jeudy will be the 3rd or 4th wide receiver taken in the first round. That's actually a possibility now. Number 5, C.J. Henderson goes in the top 10 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 4, Tua Tagovailoa goes to the Las Vegas Raiders. Number 3, Jordan Love drafted by the New England Patriots. Jordan Love, he's a very interesting prospect. He could be the heartbeat and heart and soul of a new team in the near future, so we'll see how that happens to work out. Number 2, 2 to 3 running backs get drafted in the first round. And number 1, the Washington Redskins trade out of the number 2 pick, and the Los Angeles Chargers leapfrog everyone and take quarterback Justin Herbert out of the University of Oregon. Well, that would basically shock a lot of people. There was a report yesterday that the Washington Redskins had a deal on the I don't know if it's a deal on the table, but there was a team that had a potential deal in place to move up to the number 2 pick. Now, Justin Herbert is basically being compared to Carson Wentz. And those guys, their heartbeat and the heart and soul of each and their all respective team. So Justin Herbert is very good. And I'm curious to see what he does with an actual NFL training staff. Because he's got some issues with facing blitzes and trying to throw deep passes. And the tape says, I'm not sure how it's all going to work out. So I just think it's going to be very interesting to see. So, you know how you buy a stock? You know how you could buy a stock right now and basically try and win money? All right. So I didn't write down any players' names, but I wrote this down as one of my topics for today. Game of the draft stock. All right. I'm going to start with the stock. I'm going to think of the players that come to the top of my head, and I'll see what the potential draft stock is. I'm going to list a random number, and then would I take the bet or not take the bet, lower or higher than this number? Let's see. Joe Burrow's obviously number one. Okay, first one. Chase Young. The magic number's 4. Does he get past the 4th pick? Under 4, over 4. I'm taking under 4. Very simple. He's not getting past number 4 to the Giants. Next guy. Isaiah Simmons. Number 6. You know what? I'm getting the sense I'm going the over 6. There is something interesting I saw on Twitter yesterday. Supposedly, the NFL coaches don't know where to put Simmons at the next level. They don't know if he's going to play linebacker or safety, or where he's going to line up on like first and second down. The thing is, someone thinks that Clemson's defensive coordinator is actually smarter than most NFL defensive coordinators, which I happen to find very interesting, and it's something I can't believe. And I see why this Clemson defensive coordinator is getting a lot of money. So, I did have Simmons going to the Giants at number 4, but the impression now is the Giants may trade down, or they're going to take an offensive tackle like Tristan Wirfs or Andrew Thomas at number 4. Next player. Jeffrey Okudah, number 8. He's lower than number 8. He's getting picked by the time number 8 comes. Best corner in the draft. He's got all the tools. Ohio State all of a sudden has become a defensive back university. Next player. Justin Herbert, number 5. Even. I'm calling it even. Herbert is exactly taken at number 5 by the Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa. Magic number 10. I say he slips past 10 because there's an apparent thing that Tua is really going to slip. And I don't understand what the Chargers are going to do at number 6. I don't understand why they like Tyrod Taylor so much. He's only going to get you so far. Game managers only get you so far in the NFL. Tua Tagovailoa has way more upside. That is an obvious. Tua Tagovailoa would be the heartbeat and the heart and soul of each and the respective teams. I mean, really, you're not going to take a Tua at number 6? You're not going to take him? But yet, you might see the Vegas Raiders, your rivals, take him. And then now what do you do with Derek Carr? Next guy. The next player is, let's go with Derek Brown, number 7. I'm going to say just a little bit over 7. Not much, but just a little bit. Derek Brown is tricky. He's got some talent to be a top 5 pick, and maybe someone shocks us. But I think Derek Brown is very good. He could change a defense. And would the New York Giants would the New York Giants fan base basically have a riot on Twitter if David Gettleman, as they call him, hog mollies, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, that you take a lineman when you already gave Leonard Williams a franchise tag and you drafted Dexter Lawrence. That would be storytelling. But the one thing I must say about Dave Gettleman is he's a very good drafter nonetheless. Next player, Jordan Love, 15. I'm going to say higher than 15. He may not even go in the first round tonight. If he does go in the first round, great. If not, I can understand why, because he's very inaccurate, and his stat is 28% of his passes were uncatchable. But here's the question of uncatchable. I said this to my dad. How many of those passes that were uncatchable, throwaways? That's another interesting stat that we don't know about. What if 20% was actually just a throwaway because he was getting pressured or had to throw it away because he was getting sacked and trying to not get sacked? I mean, he's going to be a project like Josh Allen and Daniel Jones, and they are the heart and the heartbeat and souls of that respective teams, Allen and Danny Dimes. And I happen to wear my Daniel Jones jersey today in honor of the NFL draft. Next player, CeeDee Lamb, number 12, lower than 12. CeeDee Lamb, I got a gut feeling he's going to be the first receiver taken off the board. I don't think he should be, but that's where we're going to go here with CeeDee Lamb. Henry Ruggs, 15, lower than 15. Ruggs is going to be, I think he's going to be taken by the Niners. I'll give you a couple more players, and then I'm going to move on to my next NFL topic. T. Higgins. The number is 24. I'm going to say lower. I think Higgins is going to get drafted before then. I think T. Higgins, I don't understand why some people don't even have him going in the first round. That's been my opinion. That's preposterous and ridiculous. First of all, T. Higgins has a comp of A.J. Green. I mean, first of all, I personally think T. Higgins is the second best receiver in this draft class. I think it's Judy and T. Higgins. And then I think it's guys like CeeDee Lamb, Henry Ruggs, and Justin Jefferson. And then you could figure out the other guys like Jalen Reagor and Denzel Mims and Brandon Ayuk and Laviska Shenault Jr. And you can figure out who the rest of the draft class is at the wide receiver position. Not CJ Henderson, that's a cornerback, excuse me. But that's a pretty decent class nonetheless. Okay, speaking of CJ Henderson on my mind, I'll have CJ Henderson. Where does he go? I'm going to give him number 20. Lower than 20. He may be taken top 10, top 15. I'm going to go lower. I'm not writing this stuff down. I'm just basically thinking of things and random numbers as I go along here so I could occupy you guys, entertain you guys, make you guys think about it a little bit. Next. So the next one, okay, let's go with A.J. Epenza, edge rusher, Iowa, number 25. I think he might slip. I think he's going past 25. I don't think he should, but I think that's the number. And then I'm going to go with Andrew Thomas, number 10, even at number 10. Jedrick Wills, 8. I'm going even on that one too. Tristan Wirfs, number 9. Lower than number 9. And I'm going to give you 3 more. Let's see. 3 more here. Let's go with Xavier McKinney, number 22. I think he goes past the Vikings at 22. And then Yetur Gross-Matos, I'm going to say the number 19. I'm going even on that one because that's who I think the Raiders are going to take. Last but not least, let's go with DeAndre Swift, running back Georgia. The number is 32. And I say he goes before then. Actually, I'll give you guys one more. Let's go Jonathan Taylor, number 30. I think he personally slips out of the first round, although I don't think he should. So here we go. On to my next NFL topic. I thought about leading off with this today, but here I am talking about it now. Rob Gronkowski is coming out of retirement to join the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and team up with Tom Brady again. So Rob Gronkowski retired for a year. He lost some weight. He's in the 250 range. He was in the 260 range when he retired. So he might be able to put on 10 pounds. He feels healthier. And I'm curious to see how it's going to be because this is only a 1-year deal, $10 million. And basically Gronk forced Belichick's hand. And the Patriots were able to get back a 4th-round pick. And Gronkowski, he's 30 years old. He's done the WWE stuff. He had 47 receptions for 682 yards and 3 touchdowns in 2018. And he's caught 521 passes for 7,861 yards and 79 touchdowns in an illustrious career. And I truly believe that Rob Gronkowski is the greatest tight end who ever lived. First of all, and I know that you guys say, oh, Tony Gonzalez was better. Oh, this and that. No. Rob Gronkowski is the greatest tight end who ever played in the NFL. First of all, Rob Gronkowski blocks like an offensive lineman. And I'm not sure how much Bruce Arians is going to use Gronkowski in the blocking game, but I know that they're going to use a lot of 2 tight end sets with him, and maybe either Cameron Brate or O.J. Howard, and O.J. Howard might get traded. And maybe to get some more potential draft day trade shortly. So Rob Gronkowski, and that offense is scary. Rob Gronkowski, Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. And an interesting thing is last night, there was a mock draft by Daniel Jeremiah on NFL Network that has him taking Judy with the 14th pick. I'm like, there's not even going to be enough balls to go around, and that's what my brother Jake said. I think that's utterly crazy, and I just think time's going to tell, and we'll see what happens. Excuse me. So, Rob Gronkowski is going to make this offense even more dangerous, and I thought Tampa Bay was a playoff team even before this. Now they might win the division, maybe one of the favorites in the NFC, but I still like the San Francisco 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles right now, only because I think the Buccaneers need to shore up the running back position, the O-line, and some things on the defensive side of the ball. So, Gronkowski, I love it. I think he's the best tight end. He blocks well. He can line up in the slot. He can line up on the outside. Maybe they use Gronkowski more as the number 3 receiver rather than drafted one because, hey, Gronk's not a bad... raise your hand if you think Gronk's a very good, number 3 receiving option. Yeah, exactly. He's an excellent number 3 receiving option. So, I just find, that's what I believe is going to happen. Maybe I know Tom Brady loves the slot receivers, and he loves getting the ball out very quick. And maybe, as my brother Ben said, maybe he's going to be like on a revenge tour, like what Peyton Manning did his first couple of years with the Denver Broncos. But the difference is Payton still kind of had some juice. We don't know if Tom Brady has juice left at 41, 42 years old. And my brother, and here's what's interesting. I found a meme of this on Twitter. Not on Twitter, on Facebook. So you know how when LeBron James and Dwayne Wade played when they were in their primes with the Miami Heat, and they won those championships, they won 2 titles together, winning the finals 4 times, and Brady and Gronk won 3 Super Bowls together, been in the Super Bowl, 4 or 5? Yeah, 5 times with each other. And the meme is now that Brady and Gronk is in Tampa Bay, maybe you get the old version of LeBron and Wade in Cleveland and it doesn't work out. Will it work out? Will it not work out? I think it's going to remain to be seen because Gronkowski is the heartbeat and heart and soul. So is Tom Brady. That is just I just find this all interesting. I mean, I really do. So, what I thought the trade should have been before I move into my next topic, instead of the 7th rounder and Gronkowski for 4th rounder, I thought they were going to swap the 14th and the 23rd for O.J. Howard and Gronkowski. But maybe cap reasons wasn't the reason why it worked out in New England. And New England now has, 12 draft picks? Nonetheless, that is going to be a very interesting story. And I cannot wait for the NFL draft tonight. So, where will be trades on the NFL draft? And I know Trent Williams' name has been mentioned a lot. Proposed trade number 1 that I think could happen. Trent Williams for David Njoku and the 10th pick. Now, I actually posted that on my Twitter account the other day. And there was actually a Browns fan that he wouldn't do the trade, but he actually didn't criticize me for the ideal logistics of it either because he understood what I was coming from. He understood that the Browns need a left tackle to protect Baker Mayfield, first of all. He understands that the asking price is a first-round pick, and he also understands that the Washington Redskins need a number 1 tight end, which Jordan Reed is not there anymore, and they released him because of all the concussions. So David Njoku would be Washington's number 1 tight end, and if you ask me, unless you're drafting Cole Kmet, the tight end for Notre Dame, there was an NFL executive, someone in the NFL, that said to someone, to the media, they would rather take the 10th receiver in the NFL draft this year before they would take the top tight end. That is a message saying the wide receiver class is deep and the tight end class is very weak. And you're better off getting a guy like David Njoku rather than drafting someone. Because the truth of the matter is, Njoku's probably better than whoever anyone is drafting this year. But the thing is, I think Stefanski would be reluctant to trade him because he'd love to use 2 tight end sets when he was with the Minnesota Vikings as the offensive coordinator with Kirk Cousins and Irv Smith Jr. and Kyle Rudolph. And you have a running game with Dalvin Cook and you have Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. You may see that a lot with Nick Chubb and Baker Mayfield and David Njoku, Austin Hooper, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, nonetheless. So I think that could be very well offensively conducted. But then yet again, the Browns are still the Browns. And a very interesting thing is, speaking of the Browns, I just thought this was very funny yesterday. I thought it was a funny roast. I wouldn't do such a thing on a video and call someone out like that. But Fox Sports 1 to Colin Cowherd, he mentioned something of, I don't know. So there was someone that was slipping. It was I think it was a TikTok video, and someone was a woman slipping or something, and someone trying to do some exercise on the stairs, something to that related. And then she fell down the steps, and then Colin Cowherd was retweeting something like, if the Cleveland Browns were a person, and then this guy took it to Twitter, basically called out Colin Cowherd. I found the video very funny of him calling out Colin Cowherd, but at the same time, that's just come on, dude. It's funny, but you're just grew up a little bit, so I just find it whatever, I guess. So I just think that trade would be very. And my brother Jig's like to me, and my dad's like to me, no, that's too expensive a price, maybe a second round pick. But I know the Redskins have a very expensive asking price. Here are two other guys that might get traded. Does Andy Dalton of the Cincinnati Bengals get traded for maybe a 4th or a 5th rounder? Or do the Las Vegas Raiders decide to trade Derek Carr nonetheless? Because I know there's some potential friction between, I don't know, Mike Mayock and then maybe head coach John Gruden on Derek Carr. I know Gruden likes Carr, but maybe not Mike Mayock and vice versa. Yeah, I mean, Derek Carr's been the heartbeat and the heart and soul of the Raiders for the last few years. He almost won an MVP, could have led them to a Super Bowl until he broke his leg. And now you want to get rid of Derek Carr basically because he has no receivers, and then you got Josh Jacobs, and you have all these other players. So I'm just curious to see how it's all going to work out. And then Jacobs, he won Rookie of the Year. If you trade Josh Jacobs, then he becomes heartbeat in the heart and soul of the Raiders. But then do you really want that? Your running back is your face of your franchise unless you draft a quarterback. Like a Tua or Jordan Love or maybe a Jacob Eason. I don't know how that's all going to... I'm just curious to see how this is all going to work out. I wonder how many teams are going to trade up. And are there some other maybe Yannick Ngakoue gets traded tonight? And does Andy Dalton get traded in Derek Carr? And whoever gets Ngakoue, I would take that deal in a heartbeat. I guess you could say that, but... So, I'm going to move on here to the NBA. There's some more NBA trades. With the NBA being paused due to the coronavirus, there are a lot of articles I see being written on Bleacher Report. So, there is an article which teams should make trades for superstars. Here were 3 of them. The first one is Chris Paul to the Chicago Bulls from the Oklahoma City Thunder. The second one is CJ McCollum to the Cleveland Cavaliers from the Portland Trail Blazers. And the third one is Drew Holiday to the New York Knicks. And then there were some other ones, and I just happened to forgot to write them down. I tried to find the article the other day, but I guess I couldn't find it. Because I had it one time. It was just like... And with these 3 trades, why would Paul go to the Bulls first off? What is that, like Dwayne Wade in his final year going to Chicago? Oh, yeah, they weren't... Chicago, I think, was an 8 seed one year with Dwayne Wade and Rajon Rondo. Oh, that's right. I think the Celtics were a 1 that year. That's right. Had Rajon Rondo not gotten hurt, the Celtics would have lost that series. Oh, they were scared. And then Rajon Rondo gets hurt. And then it all goes down for the Chicago Bulls. Yeah, that was a very dangerous 8 seed that year. That was a very dangerous 8 seed in the Eastern Conference. That team may have gone to the conference finals had Rajon Rondo not got hurt. And that was kind of like the year where the Sixers were the 8 and they upset the Bulls thanks to Derrick Rose tearing his ACL, and the Bulls basically never recovered. What is this with Chicago Bulls point guards getting injured, and then they basically fall off the planet, and then they basically fall off the face of the earth in the postseason. And I know Chicago is making serious changes to its staff. Especially in the front office. And boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, I can't wait for episodes 3 and 4 on Sunday of The Last Dance. Because it will talk about more Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. And I personally can't wait to recap that come Monday morning. Jordan and Pippen, Michael Jordan, the heartbeat and the heart and soul of the Chicago Bulls for all those years. and then you have Scottie Pippen. And that's just really fun. Those videos were just really fun. And then, moving on to my last thing here, I had a discussion this morning with a close friend of mine about there was something interesting on Twitter that I sent to him. Happens to like the North Carolina Tar Heels. And as liking the Florida Gators basketball team, and I don't speak much about college basketball, but I'm going to tie this thing into relation to the NBA. So, there was a photo this morning. Someone asked and posted this on this Twitter. If you know how college basketball does one and done, basically a one and done tournament? If North Carolina of the 2008-2009 squad faced off against the 2006-2007 Florida squad, who would win that series? So I said the Gators, I think, will win that in 7, basically for the sole fact due to I just like Florida a lot, number one. Number two, I understand how good North Carolina was. Ty Lawson, Tyler Hansborough, Danny Green, Wayne Ellington, Tyler Zeller, and then you had Ed Davis off the bench. And then, for Florida, you had Joakim Noah, Corey Brewer, Al Horford, Marlon Humphrey, and Green. So, that team was loaded. They were both loaded, but here's the thing, though. Carolina might add a deeper bench than that Florida team. But Florida's starting 5 might have been just a tad better. So, let's see. Position by position. Tyler Zeller, Joakim Noah. I'm taking Joakim Noah. Al Horford, Tyler Hansborough. In college, and that, oh boy. Maybe Al Horford by just a slim. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's called even on that one. Because Tyler Hansborough was a ridiculous player in college. I remember him playing with a face mask and how good he was. And then, at the 3, Green or Wayne Ellington. Oh, that's Wayne Ellington by a mile. That's Wayne Ellington by a mile. Oh, no, wait. Excuse me. No, Green was the 2. Corey Brewer was like a combo guard and forward. Okay, I guess you could give Ellington the edge. And then Corey Brewer, Danny Green. I'm going to take Corey Brewer here. I don't remember Danny Green, the shooter he was, now that he is in the NBA. And then Ty Lawson or Humphrey. That's Ty Lawson by a very, very good mile. Because Ty Lawson could change direction on you in any second. And Ty Lawson actually had a very good 4 or 5 year NBA career, but he was just a little bit too small. I like Ty Lawson as a player. And I remember someone, this was back when I was living in Pennsylvania, where I asked someone, I said, who out of the North Carolina players that were drafted in 2009 that you thought was going to be the best in the NBA? He said to me, Ty Lawson, and I think he completely nailed the head on that one. So, I think that would be a very fun series to watch. I had Florida in 7. He thinks North Carolina will win in 6. I thought he was going to say to me North Carolina 7, but he's like, nah, North Carolina 6. Or I thought he was going to say something like to the likes of Florida in 6. But whoever thinks this would be a clean sweep, or a 5-game series, you're absolutely nuts. Because these teams were the heartbeats and the heart and souls of college basketball for a long period of time. And you have Tyler Hansborough and Al Horford. They were the heartbeat and the heart and soul of each of their respective team. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of time here. Thank you for tuning in to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. on 12OZSportsRadio.com. I am your host, Glenn Kaplan. I hope you all enjoyed the NFL draft tonight. I'm so happy we're finally getting some sports back into our life. Live sports entertainment, even though this is a virtual draft. I will be back on the air at the same time Monday to recap the 2020 NFL draft. Have some more NBA and NHL topics. Maybe we'll have more information on the NHL potential resumption. Maybe some MLB topics as well. Take care. Be safe. I love you all. See you all here on Monday, hopefully. Take care. So long. Be safe and be well. I love you all.
Good afternoon. It is that time, 12 o'clock on the dot on the East Coast, 9 a.m. my rising shiners out west. Welcome everybody to the Thursday last show of the week. Unfortunately, I know it's a bummer, but it is April 23rd, 2020, and we are here. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of yours truly, Pete's Power Plays, hosted by the one, the only, Philly Pete, and we are live, as always, live on 12 Ounce Sports Network and Zingo TV. This show, as usual, is sponsored by MyBookie. When we have those live sports, they feel on hold for us, but that's not the case with MyBookie. They've got tons of action for you to get in on the fun over MyBookie.ag. Whether it's esports, like I've always mentioned, Sweden club friendlies, Nicaragua games, Belarus games, under 20-year-old soccer games as well. We got you covered here. Also, if overseas baseball is your thing, by all means, we've got you covered when you use the promo code 12 Ounce Sports. That's 12OZ Sports, all one word, and you'll be ready to rock when making a first deposit. Also, they'll match your first deposit up to $1,000. That is amazing. Don't feel like watching baseball until 2 o'clock in the morning? Hey, MyBookie has you covered with an online casino to scratch that itch. Like I always say, blackjack, roulette, 3-card poker, whatever it's going to be, backgammon if need be, you are ready to rock and roll when it comes to MyBookie. So, go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code 12 Ounce Sports today for free money when making your first deposit. So, yes, highly recommend it. Also, Seat Giant. Again, this is always going to be an issue where, you know, when sports eventually do come back, we will. Please make sure you use Seat Giant when fans are able to get back into the stadiums and watch their favorite teams play. What better way to get the first row of everything on your sports team than Seat Giant? And last but not least, what else can I say about Zingo TV? Zingo TV, when signing up for an account, make sure you use the promo code 12OUNCE, 12OZ. Again, all one word, and you all will be ready to rock and roll when it comes to all these games that we have, all these shows, amazing shows that we have for you on this network, including yours truly, Pete's Power Plays here. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are live Thursday, April 23rd, last show of the week. I know it is draft day as well. Those that tuned into the show yesterday, I gave you my top 10 predictions, as well as who I think the Eagles will draft at number 21. Maybe a little side dark horse trade up into the draft. Maybe they move up and they snag CeeDee Lamb out of Oklahoma. You know, maybe the Eagles do something good, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in this draft here tonight. I also posted out my props that I had. Justin Herbert under 5.5 at plus 175. Again, that was a bet that was made 2 weeks ago. I also have CeeDee Lamb going under 12.5. I have Jerry Jeudy going over 12.5. And that's basically it. And CeeDee Lamb also as the first receiver taken. So those are on my those are on my timeline on Twitter. Like I said, it is underneath yesterday's show. I did mention it out. I had a few of you out there that also chimed in for your 2 cents. So good luck tonight. Good luck on draft props, and happy draft. I'm looking forward to tonight. So, and also tomorrow night, 6:45 p.m. Eastern time, 3:45, basically out west, is going to be the coverage of the NFL draft with yours truly, Philly Pete and Aaron from Vegas Squares Radio. We are going to be hosting the rounds 2 and 3 of the NFL draft on 12 Ounce Sports Network. Please tune in. It is going to be a highly anticipated show. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. It is going to be awesome. Aaron and I are very, very much looking forward to this, and we can't wait. It's very, very exciting. So happy draft day, all. I look forward to an amazing weekend, and best of luck to your teams in the draft this year. So first segment, I'm going to talk about basically the first 2 episodes of the Jordan documentary, The Last Dance. Basically, I want to talk about the 5 major talking points from the opening 2 episodes. This was just these 5 things I kind of just wrote down and just kind of like elaborate on it. But to me, Jordan was upset at rumors of an impending rebuild, big time. In the early stages of the first episode, as I saw, Jordan touched on rumors that the Bulls front office was considering breaking up the team ahead of the 97-98 season. Jordan mentioned that I just kept hearing this over and over again. He was getting annoyed. He was getting pretty irritated, like we were winning. They were winning games. Not sure why they wanted to break the team apart, but it definitely annoyed Jordan at the time. So Chicago has just won a second consecutive title and the 5th one in 7 years. But Jerry Krause, tried to convince franchise owner, Reinsdorf, basically the Bulls' historic core players had run their course, and to Jordan, I'm not sure why, but it really upset him, and I agree. I mean, I don't know why you wanted to break up such a talented, lethal team that they had there in Chicago during their time. So, they realized that maybe this is the time to do a rebuild and not win a 6th championship. But fortunately for the Bulls fans, Reinsdorf eventually did persuade Krause, and it was all worth waiting another season before blowing the team up and handing head coach Phil Jackson a 1-year deal in the 97-98 season. And hey, the rest, as they say, is all history. So, good for them, and that's what happens. So James Worthy was better than Jordan, as some say here. This is a back and forth situation here. The first episode gave viewers a comprehensive look back at Jordan's collegiate career, obviously at UNC under Dean Smith, Tar Heel Nation. Jordan developed from a promising player into one of the hottest prospects, obviously, in college basketball, so much that they even his name changed. Like he was initially listed on the Tar Heels roster as just simply Mike Jordan, not Michael Jordan. Which is pretty funny. So he is like an icon legend down there. I personally have been to UNC to see a game, and they even have a basically like a historic building just simply for Michael Jordan. You go in there, they have specific hours. You can go in there and check out everything from Jordan stuff from UNC and Chicago Bulls. So that's really cool. So if those that live in Chapel Hill, that go to North Carolina, or those that are fans and haven't been to Chapel Hill yet, I highly recommend going down there, checking out a game at Dean Center. It's very much historic arena. It's amazing. Nothing better than the Tar Heel blue and white. It's just perfect. It's history. And then also after the game, or even before the game, I highly recommend going before the game, because afterwards it's just crowded. Checking out the Michael Jordan little asylum that they have there. It's just all related to Jordan. It's awesome. So. Basically during his freshman year, Jordan hit a 16-foot jumper with 15 seconds left to clinch a 63-62 win for the Heels over the Georgetown Hoyas back in the 1982 National Championship game. I also have a plaque of Jordan, a limited plaque of Michael Jordan hitting that shot. So that's going to be something to look up for in the future. But still remembered as the quote-unquote shot at UNC. That basically turned his name from Mike to Michael, the 6-time NBA champion, as he recalled on his documentary. So that's how he went from Mike to Michael, basically on that game-winning shot against Georgetown. So I believe that's when the Hoyas had Patrick Ewing at the time. So that was a really, really very huge game there for Michael Jordan as a freshman. The game also marked James Worthy's final appearance for the Heels. He also was a teammate of Jordan's. Worthy would become the first overall pick of the 1982 draft. And he insisted that he was a better player than MJ, albeit, though, for a short period of time. We know at the end of the day here, Jordan is obviously better than James Worthy, but James just didn't believe the hype. So he still claims that he's better than him, and he said in the first episode, as we all witnessed. So for about 2 weeks, he was just basically sucking up the information. Simple as that. Third, this is a big one. The Bulls traveling cocaine circus. This is a big one here that I want to mention. Basically, during the championship runs of 6 that they had, the Bulls had a ruthless title-winning machine. It was unreal, as we all know. Despite some off-court drama, again, which we all know, it was hinted at in the first 2 episodes and will become more apparent over the next 8 parts that the Bulls dominate the NBA like few teams had ever done. And, like I said, there was more competition back then than it is now. So, basketball was just better back then. What can I say? That's just how it was growing up in the 90s. NBA played defense. Nowadays, there is no defense in the NBA. It's like an all-star game. That's all it really is nowadays. But the organization Jordan joined as a fresh-faced rookie in 1984 was the distant of the all-conquering juggernaut that ruled the 1990s. So the Bulls were unsuccessful on the court, and they did like the party of it, of course. MJ revealed, however, that he lifted the lid on the use of recreational drugs that was common among his teammates. So he came face-to-face with the quote-unquote traveling cocaine circus during his rookie season. He shared a hotel with his teammates. While this was going on, they opened the door, people walk in, and practically the whole team is in there, chuckling and laughing at the recollection of the incident of this cocaine circus going on for the Bulls. It was just he just mentions that as a kid it's he never wants to see this as a kid. Growing up, this drugs wasn't a part of it. But then you get your lines over here, and you have your marijuana, you have your smokers over on one side, you have your cocaine doers on the other side of the room, women involved doing drugs. Whether it's they're smoking weed or they're lining up coke. Either way, there was drugs going on in specific hotel rooms that the Bulls were staying at, and it was a legit circus going on for them. So, again, Jordan was a young kid. He had no idea, and he's never seen anything like this as a kid. Well, this is what happens. You get to the NBA, you make the money, and here you go. You play around with massive amounts of coke and marijuana, and hey, of course, women's always involved at the end of the day. So, but first thing Jordan says here, he said that he's out. He's a young kid. He had great education at UNC for a year. We all know that. Smart kid. He knew better. But, because of all he could think about is just he's just thinking about someone's going to raid this place. Cops coming in, patrolling it, just busting in, raiding the hotel room, knowing what's going on. And then he'd be guilty as well. And that's not what he wanted to set himself up as. He just wanted more or less of his own. So he kind of backed away from that situation, which was smart on his move here. The fourth is the origins of The Last Dance. So basically the title here we know it's going to be a 10-part documentary is far from casual. In fact, however, the Bulls even began the 97-98 season, which would prove to be basically their last dance, technically. Jackson knew the campaign. This would be his final year in Chicago. We knew that. Krause also made clear not even going 82-0 would be enough to earn him a multi-year deal. And like I said, they went 72-10 that year, and I actually have a collector's edition best team ever, quote unquote, at the time, 72-10, Little Wilson basketball with Jordan on the front cover signed. That thing was, again, that's just, I have so much Jordan memorabilia in my home that it's just overwhelming. So, but hey, the Warriors now have the best record of all time, 73-9. So they have that best record. But again, that's what happens when there's no defense in the NBA currently, and that's just how I feel. Growing older as I am, compared to how basketball was played back in the 90s to now, it's so much different. So much different. You kids in the 20s have no idea what basketball was if you didn't grow up in the 90s like myself. So watch some tape, and basketball obviously was just so much better back in the 90s, and I'll be more than happy to say that every day of my life. So, quote unquote here, the talk of the players particularly was about how everyone just wanted to be together for the last run that they were going to have. That team was unstoppable. They were called the Unstoppables. 11 NBA titles as a coach for Phil Jackson. What else can I say? And like he says at the end here, so he called it the last dance. He knew that this was going to be the last one. Warriors head coach Steve Kerr, we know that as well. He was part of the second three-peat, with the Warriors. And Phil Jackson always looked for a theme for every season, says Kerr here, and they wanted to do it together. Management was already making that decision, and obviously Phil had a name for it. So, and then lastly but not least, Jerry Krause is very much the villain that we all knew that was coming here. The former general manager here, the GM himself, not a popular man among the Bulls players going to the 97-98 season, but he did tell Jackson here that he would be out of a job even if he went 82-0 and won a third consecutive title for the second time, which is unreal to even mention because they were that dominant, and Jerry Krause wanted to break this team up so bad. But by the time Jordan's final season with the Bulls got underway, Krause had a little cold relationship with Jackson and Jordan at the time. They felt disrespected by him, downright insulted by just the way Krause kind of lowballed him at the end of the day here, and basically claiming that the organizations mattered more than the players and coaches. So obviously that's not going to go well with Jackson and MJ himself. So Krause obviously maintained his misquote, obviously, stated that coaches and players alone don't win championships. Organizations win championships, but obviously the point has to stay still. Meanwhile, the GM, also obviously Krause, involved in a bitter feud with Scottie Pippen, as we all know about here, who had described Krause as a compulsive liar and demanded a trade for the second time in 3 years. So that's why Pippen wanted out. He could not deal with Jerry Krause whatsoever. So Pippen, as we all knew, this was all obviously in the works back then. I even knew as a young kid that Pippen wanted to be out because of his issues with Jerry himself. So good for Pippen on moving on. Krause, who he ended up passing away a couple years ago in 2017, but he will be a constant feature over the remaining 8 episode of this documentary. But he's unlikely to be painted in a better light, as we know that he is just very much that Bulls villain. So basically, when everything's said and done here, I'll quote this with Steve Kerr, what he said. Basically saying that Krause deserves a lot of credit for obviously building the team and the championships that he had. But, at the end of the day here, he just couldn't get out of his own way. And that's how I stand here with that. So my top 5 takeaways of the first 2 episodes of The Last Dance. Tune in Sunday night where the next episode will be on ESPN. So it should be a very, very good rest of the documentary. Also, and like I said, so stay tuned. But that concludes my first segment of the Pete's Power Plays here for Thursday. I would like to bring in no other than the Queen on the Ice herself. Coming back again. She was back on Tuesday. I'd like to bring her back here for Thursday episode, no other than Gina Tucci. Gina, welcome back.
Hi, welcome. Happy draft day.
Happy draft day. So Gina's going to be paying attention to the draft tonight and tomorrow. So she's going to be she wants to get involved. She wants to kind of see how this goes in terms of the draft that I'm going to be hosting on Friday with Aaron from Vegas Squares. She's looking forward to this too and watching me for the next 4 hours watching the draft. How you doing, Gina?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Good. Thank you. So second half of the segment here for the last 12-13 minutes, we're going to talk about the 6 episodes that we saw of Westworld Season 3. It is ready to rock. It is off the charts. There's 2 episodes left with a lot to talk about. So first and foremost, Gina, what do you think so far about Season 3?
What I think about it is that we thought Season 2 was confusing, but
Yeah.
Season 3 surpasses it. That's one thing that I could definitely say for sure, Philly Pete.
Good.
So I was doing some research, and it was saying that it was set in the future, like in the year 2058.
Yeah.
Which is really neat. But you know what? One of the besides the storyline, some other intricate parts are the architecture. And we looked it up, and it was filmed in Singapore, and really they were saying how they have a just really, really beautiful architecture out there. I mean, we've never seen anything like that over here in the United States. So the architecture is just really beautiful and just really very forward thinking. So that's enjoyable to watch. As for the characters, of course, Dolores is nuts, but it's great. So we were talking about this when or Haloris or Shaloris, however you want to say it, when she left Westworld, Charlotte Hale, that is, with the pearls in her handbag, the big question was, who are they? So we know that one of them's Bernard, and that's awesome because, she brought him back and was, said that, this can't, a city without me or an existence without me needs you, but we can't be friends. So, and that makes sense. So we know one of them is Bernard, but, we're trying to really figure out who the rest are. And, we were bouncing ideas, like, is it Teddy? Is it, that other blonde chick in there who was kind of her minion, for lack of a better term.
With the rattlesnake tattoo.
Yeah.
Yep. One of her allies.
Yeah, one of the allies. And, of course, maybe Hector. Maybe she found out Hector was a good fighter. But, and then after the last episode the other day, I said, you know what? I think they're all Dolores. I think that son of a gun, I think she copied herself. And you know what? I think I'm right. I'm betting on that. That's what my money's on.
Yeah. So she had a little. Gina kind of guesstimated what her sort of spiel was after episode 6, and I don't know if you want to explain what your prediction was, and it ended up turning out to be right.
Well, we know that there is she's in her. It's difficult to explain.
Yeah, it is.
Dolores is, I guess, in Dolores' body, which we were talking about how we think that's Wyatt, and then there's in Charlotte. I couldn't think of her name. Charlotte, we know that Dolores is in Charlotte, and you know what I thought? What would I, if I was in that situation? What would I do? And I would probably copy myself because I am leading this revolt.
Yeah. So
you know what I said? I think she copied herself, and I don't know. I think I'm right. I'm betting on that.
Yeah.
But what else? That guy who puts on the glasses and he comes virtually. Like my mind Sirach, that's his name. Yeah. My mind just can't wrap around that yet. I'm still trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
But I do like Aaron Paul's character Caleb. I love Breaking Bad. I know you didn't see it, Pete. I did. He was awesome in that, and I was happy to see him on there. I'm not sure where his character is going to go. We watched a behind the scenes kind of thing, and it was saying how, like, the Evan Rachel Wood, who is Dolores, was saying how, at the beginning of season 3, she, fainted into Caleb's arms, and then she said that kind of reflected how she fainted into William's arms back in the park. So then I started paying more attention to him and what his story was and how it was intertwined with the whole season. And I think she's maybe looking at, like, how the lower class citizens are going through their day or making money or how they work. I really don't know. I'm very confused. I'm pulling at strings here. Again, and Sirach, he's a great character. I've seen him in some other movies.
Yeah, he's
very serious actor, and he's very believable. And again, I'm having trouble wrapping my head around who he is, what he wants. I know he's getting onto Delos, or he's buying out Delos, things like that. But I'm still confused, to be very honest. But I like Charlotte's character. I like how she's Dolores, and then she is kind of like her. It's kind of like Charlotte innately, I guess you could say, because you see how she responds to her son. Like, she gets that video from the old Charlotte, and she's like, oh yeah, So I like that Charlotte Dolores mixture of them.
Good. I think that Maeve needs help here.
Maeve, yes, forgot about her.
She, we open in what looks like a sublime, a virtual heaven for the consciousness of hosts. So Maeve is basically opens up to her first original story where she has a daughter. She's in that white little dress where she's basically like a house mom hanging up clothes outside. That attire. But she also didn't let being stabbed in episode 4 keep her down. So when she comes back with the head guy from Samurai World or Shogun World, he stabs her, and here we see like a little, like when they stab the barrel, to me, the white milky substance is basically their transport to what they make the host out of. And I was like, oh crap! So this is where it's all made out of. It's a distillery, but to create the host. So I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I get it now.
I thought that was cool as well.
Right. So I was curious, like the first 2 seasons, like what, like how did they get this milky white substance from? And we find out. So there's still a lot to talk about for the last 2 episodes here. And don't forget, we will have a conclusion in 2 weeks. Gina will obviously be back on for the recap of the entire season and what to expect for season 4. However, so Maeve we see here in a moment with her daughter, obviously a resident of the Sublime since the end of last season, but it's not real. Serac pops up into this season, obviously offering Maeve a reward for hunting down Dolores. So now it's a battle between Dolores and Maeve, and then you have Charlotte that wants everything, but unfortunately it can't be that way. She's very, very greedy when it comes to everything. We know Insight took over Delos right now, since that's Serac's company.
Yeah.
But he'll take her back to the perfect memories of living with her daughter if Maeve accepts this reward here. But instead, Maeve, sharp-witted as usual, the woman that she is, basically says that all she wants is what Dolores has, and that's help, because Dolores has that and Maeve does not. What do you think about William's character? First of all, we still have no idea what his last name is. We kind of haven't really seen much of his daughter, even though she's like a host trying to help him, but it just doesn't. We haven't really seen much of that. However, what do you think about him in therapy? Like, how friggin' nuts is he?
That was wild.
Yeah.
That was really. I thought it was really clever. I was like, when I saw that video and they were all sitting in the circle or that scene, I was like, wow, this is really good writing and really good, just good acting and I like in one part in that scene when the little boy goes back into the room and then he looks back and you see like 3 Ed Harris is looking at him like that's awesome. I love when the cinema does that. It's really clever.
So. Basically, like I want to talk about this. The man in black is in therapy now. We cut to a circle of patients all wearing white jumpsuits in a mental institution. Just as they start discussing God and His plan for everyone, boom, here we go. Look who shows up, the man in black, as we kind of pictured it to be. We weren't sure where he would come up in season 3,
right?
But obviously in episode 4, it revealed his tormented state, haunted by hallucinations of his dead daughter. But he's back and basically trying to figure out his favorite subject, just being existent. Like, does he exist? Does he not exist? Who is he? Is he real? Is he not real? What's fate?
I've questioned that. I found myself a couple of times during the first and second season thinking like, is this guy real? Like, has he interacted with anybody that was not a host? I don't know.
Yeah.
But also, remember in the mental institution, they put that thing in the top of his mouth.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that is. Maybe that's some sort of treatment, which seems barbaric to me. But again, this is in the future, and I hope we figure out what that. I'm always looking for why they do that. Or
exactly. But here we go. Keep on topic of William real quick. He has that twisted group therapy session. Blast from the past, as Gina just said. William faces several versions of himself. Man in Black, dinner suit version. You have him as a child. When Ford hands him a card with all the data the park has acquired on him, like the child version, and then you have Jimmy Simpson's version, who was like the young, fresh, quote-unquote guest William. He's back. So Delos, who William was testing last season, obviously to see if his consciousness could survive in a host body, joins in as well, which was shocking. I'm like, oh crap.
That's why I was like,
Delos is back.
Is this guy dead?
Delos is back. He's like a moderator, pushing William to explore his dark urges, something traumatic, obviously, that happened in his childhood at home, which, who knows, his dad seemed to interrogate him as a young child, something that happened at school, and then William ends up breaking the kid's arm, and then punched out 3 of his teeth. So his dad obviously was a drunk. There's different, and then you see different versions of William. Basically, he says, his father drank because of William's violence. He never had a choice, and that's basically his path to sadistic man in black. And that's how he was always going to turn out. However, realizing what he must do, William ends up killing his other selves. He kills his other selves, just like basically a saying goodbye to Jimmy Simpson's character. Sayonara, he was a good part of the season. All of his people in the past, and saying on purpose that he's a good guy. Interesting though, it's a delusion. It seems William will have a bigger role to play in events involving Dolores.
One thing, the younger version of William, when he first came to the park, he was so gentle and such, like, he really didn't want to have violence, which came such as a surprise when I found out that was William as a younger man. But he was just so not, very not violent, very, no, I don't want to do that, very meek and mild, and just kind of wanted to feel out his ground. And I think when we found out that's William, I was like, and then you see his violent childhood, and then he's not, and now he is, and I don't know. I hope they explain it.
I do too. And then you see at the end, Maeve is unleashed in the real world. Her body is finally complete. She steps out into the real world, as we see at the end, where she's all nude again. Mm-hmm. The printer's not done. Hector may be gone forever, but Maeve sees another body mid-creation. What pearls are left? Could Maeve make a copy of Dolores? Seeing as Serac made one for the simulation,
right?
Maeve could have an ally as another Dolores to help her out at the end of the day. Tragic ending, miraculously, Dolores escapes and retrieves Jake and Nathan, who's a child, and her husband. But listen, in Westworld, there's no happy endings. So they try to drive somewhere, tending this to keep you happy, and then what happens?
Blows up.
Car blows up. But then we see her coming. She survives. Dolores. It's Dolores. She survives, dragging her body out of the fire. Everything is like burned out. Now she knows that we see her crying, and at the end of the day, she's getting her revenge now.
She knows she's been tagged.
She's been tagged, and she's out for revenge now. So, listen, what will that be on Serac? Dolores for putting her family in danger. Either way, last 2 episodes are going to be phenomenal.
I'm looking forward to it. How about you, Philly Pete?
I can't wait. It's going to be a phenomenal last 2 episodes. It's going to be a battle between Maeve. Maybe a Bernard helps her out too. We'll see. Questions still need to be answered. But any last words?
Definitely looking forward to it. I really hope that it gets explained. I might have to rewatch it. I'm thinking I may have to rewatch even season 2, because in season 2 I was like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, I watched season 1 and season 2 about two or three times now, and Gina saw one each. So you have to go back sometimes.
I have a lot of questions.
Yeah. So we'll probably do that once season 3 is done. But that basically concludes the week and the Thursday episode of Peace Power Plays, hosted by Philly Pete. Gina, is there anything else you want to say to the people out there?
Happy drafting, everyone. Hope everybody enjoys the show, and definitely tune in to Philly Pete on Friday.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'll be there. I'll be quiet. I'll be silent.
She'll be next to me.
I won't put in my 2 cents, but I'll definitely be listening on.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Gina, for being on the show once again. That concludes like I said, the Thursday episode of Peace Power Plays. Have a great weekend, everybody. Again, stay safe.
Bye, everybody.
Stay sanitized. Gina, logging off. I'm logging off as well. And I'll talk to you later. Talk to you all on Tuesday. Actually, talk to you all tomorrow. Good night. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.